Hi guys, and welcome back to another video here on my channel. Before we get into today's video, I just would like to remind you, if you like the content that you see here, to give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget that you need to be subscribed and hit the notification bell so that you can be notified when new videos go up. Also, if you have any ideas about what you want me to discuss in the future, you can drop it below in the comment section. And with all of that said, let's get into today's video. Okay guys, so today's video, you can probably tell by the title what it's going to be about, but I just want to give you a little bit of background why I think this particularly is an important thing to talk about for our generation and also any generation. Building bridges. It's really important, but we'll get to that later. So in today's world, you have probably heard about canceling or cancel culture, or this person has been cancelled for something they said 10 years ago. And that basically normally happens to people with big platforms or something like that. And even when they come out and they apologize and they said they've grown since whatever happened, and they really are trying to be a better person, it usually doesn't make a difference in the eyes of the people who cancelled this person. So the apology doesn't really help. Sometimes they don't really mean the apologies. Sometimes the apologies are not necessary because whatever it is that happened wasn't that big of a deal. But even then, when they do apologize, the apology usually isn't even accepted and they still get cancelled or whatever you want to call it in today's society. And even though this usually happens to people who have bigger platforms or like celebrities or things like that, I feel like we've kind of adopted that cancel mentality into our lives in a way where even though someone may have wronged us and they come and they apologize, we don't forgive them and they can never be redeemed in our eyes. Now, I'm not saying if someone wronged you and they come and apologize, you have to take them back into your lives. You can tell them, okay, I accept your apology and I forgive you, but I just don't think having you in my life is gonna work for me anymore. But I think we can part on a civil note. I will forgive what you've done, but you can do that, or maybe you guys can rebuild a relationship. Now, what I kind of want to talk about is maybe some things that happened a couple of years ago and you still kind of hold on to because there was never any closure. It may be the fact that you did something wrong that you feel like you kind of apologized for, but there was never any kind of closure, or someone wronged you and once again there was never any sort of closure, and that person kind of just disappeared from your life because it was never resolved. And that is where building bridges is really important, because you will never know what a big role someone could have played in your life if you just extended the olive branch, if you just attempted to build that bridge. So let's say you were in the wrong and you need to go apologize. Now, apologizing when necessary, okay, I want to point that out. If you did not do anything wrong, or you're standing strong in your convictions of what you did was the right thing to do at that time, obviously that takes a lot of self-reflection, then don't apologize. But if you know you were wrong, swallow your pride and apologize, okay? Because that is, you need to get rid of being proud and everything and just go and apologize, because apologies humble you. They do make you humble because they make you realize that, oh, I can actually make mistakes. It happens. And when you apologize, you need to be sincere. If you're not going to be sincere, then it's no use doing it, okay? It's maybe the person will buy it if you're not sincere, but you're not going to feel any better in the long run because you were faking it. So you need to come to a point where you've gone through things and dealt with the things and actually feel like sincerely you can now apologize. And one or two things or three things may happen. One, the person may forgive you and you may actually start rebuilding the relationship that you had. The person may forgive you and just say, okay, you know what, I want to put this thing to bed and make sure that We both know that it's been settled, it's been resolved, but I think we should just both move on with our lives as it was going. So then at least you get the closure that, okay, this thing is resolved. I don't need to worry about this anymore. And we can both move on with our lives. And you don't necessarily get a relationship back with that person, which is also okay, because sometimes certain people just don't need to be in your life. And then there's the other thing where the person just does not accept your apology, which can be for a number of reasons. Being one, maybe they haven't dealt with it the way that you have, maybe they're still hurting, or maybe they're just being vindictive and they just want to be rude and mean. And then that shows more about their character than it shows about yours. The fact that you were able to humble yourself and sincerely apologize makes you a stronger person. And if they react in just purely a rude manner, in a way that is just being vindictive, that shows more about their character. If for some reason they just say like, listen, I appreciate what you're doing, I can't forgive you right now, I'm still processing things, then take it, and maybe later on they'll reach out to you, okay? And then there is the second point that I want to touch on. Let's say someone has wronged you and they humble themselves enough to come to you and say, listen, I have thought about what I've done. I've grown as a person and I want to come and apologize. I want to tell you that I'm sorry. I want to make right what I wronged. Then how you react is also very important. You can decide whether or not you feel like you need to have a relationship with this person again when they come and apologize. You can also gauge whether they're being sincere about their apology. And if you want to then say, listen, okay, I've dealt with it, I've gone through it, I think I can forgive you and we can rebuild our relationship. Or once again, you can take the path of, okay, I've dealt with it and I appreciate you being sincere about it. I appreciate that you were wrong and that you came to me and apologized, and I think it's okay. I think we can resolve this issue and then we can move on with our lives. What you don't want to do is be mean, okay? You can also tell the person, like I said, listen, I appreciate the apology. I am still working through this on my own. I am still a little hurt. I don't think I'm ready to forgive you yet, but once I have worked through this, I will reach out to you and we can discuss this again. And then make sure when you have dealt with it that you do reach out and don't just once again leave things hanging in the air. But don't be the person who's going to be vindictive and hold a grudge, because that is just going to negatively impact your life and maybe even their lives, which may be what you want. But do you really want a negative impact on your own life? Because whether you know it or not, holding that grudge or holding on to that anger is going to make you negative. It's going to make you feel worse, and holding on to that anger and negativity is just not. We need to let those things go, okay? Another reason why I want to talk about this, if the past year and a half has taught us anything, is that life is unbelievably short. You or someone you know can pass away at any moment. We have learned this in this past year and a half, okay? And if that person perhaps passes away without you having resolved your issues, just imagine how you would feel. Just imagine. And I'm not saying everyone that you've had a fight with is going to die today, but wouldn't you rather have reached out and attempted to at least build a bridge, or make things better, or just resolve something that has been hanging over you for so long? And that is why I wanted to talk about this, because we're so wrapped up in cancel culture or canceling or people being cancelled, whatever it is you want to call it, because even when they then humble themselves and they realize maybe what they did was wrong and they come and apologize, that apology is never accepted and they're basically pushed away and they're pushed aside. And apologizing to someone is something where you actually need to humble yourself. You need to get rid of your pride. You need to say, okay, I'm going to swallow my pride. I'm going to humble myself because I know I was wrong. So it takes something from you. And that person forgiving you takes something of them too, because they need to really let it go. They need to move on from the thing that you did to them. So it takes something from both parties in the situation. You need to swallow your pride. They need to forgive, or vice versa, whichever role you find yourself in. and then we can move on. But if we never move on, if we stop at this point from, oh, you're going to come apologize, I don't care. I don't care if it took you all the courage you could muster to apologize to me. You're just never going to redeem yourself. Do you really think that's the way that we should be living our lives, with just pushing people aside after making a mistake? Because human beings make mistakes. I'm pretty sure you watching this, you've made mistakes in your life. I've made mistakes in my life. But I've learned that being humble and apologizing when you were wrong, and then being able to get forgiveness and moving on is so much better, and it makes your life so much better because you're getting rid of that anger, that negativity. And when someone humbles themselves enough and swallows their pride and comes apologize to you, and they're sincere, and you're able to forgive and move on or build that relationship again, you feel better. Okay, so we need to get out of the mindset of, oh, someone is apologizing, I don't care, we're pushing them aside. And we should start thinking about, okay, let's listen to what this person has to say. Maybe this person is sincerely sorry about what they did. Maybe what they did I am having an overreaction to, but that is also a completely different topic. But or maybe I was wrong and I need to go apologize, and can I be sincere about that? And then that person's reaction tells a lot about them. Okay, if they're going to be the one that's going to say there's nothing that can redeem you, then you know that person was never meant to be in your life, because you don't want people who are unable to forgive in your life. Okay, it's not going to be good for your mental health in the long run. So I just really wanted to talk about this, because holding grudges is going to really negatively influence your life. You may not feel it now, but eventually you're going to realize. And one day you're going to realize, what if I actually attempted to build a bridge with this person? How much difference could my life have been if that person came back into my life? If I was able to apologize, or if I was able to forgive, that person could have come back into my life. The one thing in life you don't want is regret. So if you're able to, and if you worked through things and you're able to apologize, or you're able to forgive, just think about how much better that's going to make your life, and how much less regret you'll have. There are still going to be times where you regret, but if you can do something about that, do it. Apologize when you need to. Forgive when you can. But don't hold grudges. Don't be the person who cancels and says there's nothing in this world that can ever redeem you. I don't care how many times you apologize. It's something that we really need to work on, because society has kind of changed the narrative as when someone does something wrong once, we can never forgive them. And that is not the way we want people to learn, especially children growing up, how it should be, because children should make mistakes. That's how they learn, that's how they grow, that's how we become strong adults. So I think we really need to think about how our mindset is with regards to this topic, and maybe start building bridges where we can, while we still can. And that is it for today's episode, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. As always, I do a lot of videos here on my YouTube channel if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening to the podcast, I do one hopefully every Monday, and I really look forward to chatting to you guys again as well. I'm putting my social links down below if you ever have anything you want to comment on there, for especially the podcast listeners, but also if you're watching on YouTube. And yeah, thank you so much for watching or listening today, guys, and I will see or chat to you again soon.